So today, we're going to be working on a MacBook. And this MacBook appears to be dead. If I look at the desk and I zoom in on my USB amp meter here, you'll see that it's drawing 19.3 volts. I mean, it's at 19.3 volts, and it's 0.03 amps and then back to 0. So it's trying to turn on, but then it's failing to turn on. So we're going to try and figure out why it is that it's failing to turn on. So first thing that we have to do in order to figure that out is we have to go over our power rails. So let's go over the power rails on this much bar. And the first rail that we need to find is PP-Bus G3 hot. PP-Bus is present. Next rail, PP3V3 underscore G3 hot. And we can measure that over here. Right next to this thingy that I imagine is the SMC. And we get 3.4 volts. Next rail, our RTC rail. This used to be called PPVRTC underscore G3 hot, but now it's called something new, PP3VO underscore G3 hot. And that rail is supposed to show up right next to this chip over here called Banjo, which is our PMIC. The PMIC is called Banjo in honor of Bo Burnham's song about country music. And P3V30 underscore G3 hot is now 3 volts. So let's continue down the list here and figure out what rails are missing. 5 volt rail. Let's check PP5ES5. And that's going to be on this side of MacBook. PP5ES4 is not present. Well, let's figure out what makes PP5ES4. This chip over here is going to be our 3 volt and 5 volt power supply. It creates PP5ES4 via U7650 using QU7600 to send pulses of PP-Bus G3 hot through this coil, which will then be averaged out by the caps into a nice 5 volts. It's enabled by P5ES4 underscore EN underscore RCD. Let's see where that is. That's going to be present on any one of these 3 pins. So the enable for the S4 will be here, and the enable is not there. There's no enable. Now let's see if we have the enable for PP3V3S5 on the side. I feel very trolled right now. How much do you expect to pay to fix a USB port in a MacBook Pro? I don't know. Depends on where you go. Depends on, let's see. Depends on what's causing your USB port to not work. If it's a board issue, or is it one of the USB ports that just plugs in? Is it a board issue, or is it the actual port plugging in that's doing it? All right, so PP3V3S5 is there, and it's being told to turn on. But our S4 rails are missing. And our S4 rails are missing because this board is begging for Paul. I think this board is begging for Paul. So let's see. Well, we're going to find that out in just 1 minute. Of course. Actually, it's PM Sleep S5L. PM Sleep S5L is what turns on the S4 rails. So PM Sleep S5L would be over here. And it's missing. So PM Sleep S5L comes from, where does PM Sleep S5L going to come from? It comes from the CPU.
Are you serious? That CPU?
So, PM Sleep S5L, which comes from the CPU, appears to be missing. Now to introduce you to Paul. Has anybody met Paul? Actually, this is not the CPU. U1100 is the PCH. And the PCH is going to be this thing over here. Well, let's look at that area under the microscope. And as you can see, this area looks beautiful. It looks like it's never been challenged at all. No water, no corrosion, no drop damage. Aha! Hoo! 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 Ha! 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 What's this? What's that? What are you? I see liquid damage on this MacBook. It has revealed itself via the quality of my Amscope microscope. Don't delay. Buy today by clicking one of the affiliate links in the video description down below. Let's see what that is. What are you? What are you? Where are you? What are you? I found you. I found you on this little MacBook. You think I have a hint? So, you are from Banjo. Let me mute. If we look on the screen, this has something to do with the power supply for PP1VO sus. Is this here a prerequisite to PM Sleep S5L? And also, what's this capacitor that's supposed to be next to it that appears to be ripped off the board, N/or, no stuff? C8003 over here appears to be a capacitor that's supposed to be there because it doesn't say no stuff. But if we look on the motherboard, you can see that this looks like it's ripped off, as is this trace over here ripped off. So we're going to switch over to the microscope and zoom in very nicely on this. This is a machine that's missing PM Sleep S5L. And today we're going to learn if PP1VO sus is a prerequisite to PM Sleep S5L. This resistor looks like it would come off if I tapped it the wrong way, so we're going to be very careful here with little MacBook. And if this is all it is, this may be an easy touch bar that we don't have to give to Paul. Random. Cherry picking one. So I grabbed the touch bar. I tried to grab a hard one. All right, so we're going to remove this. What's the donor board look like? I haven't gotten a donor board yet. That requires getting up, so I've been procrastinating doing that. I also got to leave in about 10 minutes to go see my doctor. I may have grabbed a touch bar board that only needs one resistor. So check it out, Paul. So this resistor was missing from the board for PP1. I mean, it was knocked off. No, this resistor was corroded, and the capacitor that it's in series with was missing for the 1VO sus power supply, and PM Sleep S5L was missing. So I'm thinking that this power rail over here may be a prerequisite to having PM Sleep S5L on touch bars.
Okay.
That's my guess. I'm hoping that that is it. So if I replace this stuff and run the jumpers and it works, that means when PM Sleep S5L is missing, instead of just tossing it into the garbage pile for Paul to Zalmau, we should check this rail. And if this doesn't work, then it goes in the desk of... But no, this is probably going to work. I don't know what knocked this off, though. It didn't look like this had ever been opened before. And that barely looked like liquid damage. But, I mean, you know it was, because it's green. But this also looks like it was physically knocked off the board, which is where my skepticism comes into play. So I want to be very careful here to not destroy whatever's left of this little copper probe point. So I'm not scraping too hard. I'm just running a solder ball over it. Solder blob. We're just going to add a tiny bit of flux to that just to make sure it continues to... We did get new flux in stock, by the way, so I can go back to using a millipole of flux. Okay, I'm going to try and rehabilitate that probe point. With the most gentle of scraping. We're working on making this chooch. Speaking of chooching, did we send the laptops to AVE for repair yet?
Nope.
We need to send those laptops to AVE before those customers get angry that the repair has not been completed in a timely fashion. All right, so I confirmed on the donor board that those pieces are indeed supposed to be here. On the touch bar, much bar. America. Now I don't want to take any chances with this, so I'm going to make sure that this is wired up all nicely. Since these traces all look like crap. America, fuck yeah. So you just reball the PMIC that we don't need.
We'll need it eventually, so
I'm sure we will.
that's why I finished it. Take it out of the bulb.
All right, next one we're gonna do.
Should I just put it back in the donor board?
No. What are you ultrasonicking?
The bulb.
Stop ruining my video. Turn that shit off.
Put the filter on.
No. Turn it off. Hiss. There's no point to ultrasonic a chip. Okay. Next. I'm taking no chances with these crappy looking traces. All right. So at this point, I believe our touch bar much bar should be fixed. So let's see if we get chooching, fan spin, V-core, amperage. So it appears that it's taking 1.06 amps, which means it's chooching. Look at that. Oh, fuck, I moved it around so it stopped. God damn it. Here we go. Yeah, 1.4 amps. 1 amp, 0.9, 1 amp. It's turning on and chooching. Let's see if we get an image, because if we get an image, that'll be even better. I don't expect to get an image on this. I mean, that's asking way too much. The touch bar actually have a picture. I don't want to get greedy now. MacBook. Gonna plug the screen in. That's all I care about. Let's see if we get a screen and an Apple logo on this little MacBook.
Small Mac.
MacBook. Now stay in. Don't you tip over, you mofo. When I plug, here we go. 1.45 amps. 1.2, 1.1, 0.9, 1.2, 1. Okay, it seems like now it's staying on.
Oh, screen image.
Hey! Hey! MacBook! Okay, so I probably had the Wi-Fi wire touching something that it wasn't supposed to touch. So it looks like this is working. It is booting. It's which means that by a completely random choice, I managed to choose the first touch bar of the day, and all it needed was a resistor and a capacitor that were easy to find. This is entirely random. 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 Now, so the important thing to go over here is what we learned from this. And what I've said, is, even going back 3 years, is that when you have water damage, the great thing about water damage is that it illuminates where the issue is. So then what you can do is you can match the symptoms that you had to the issue that you can match the symptoms you had to the physical abnormalities on the board. So what we did is we went through the list of power rails. Let me just find this over here. The list of power rails is at the end. Here we go. So we went through the list of rails, and we noticed that the rail that we had missing was a PP5ES4. And this would be, so we would typically start with the S5 rails, go to the S4 rails, and so on and so forth. And PM Sleep S5L was missing. That's one of the things that's required to turn on PP5ES4, and that was at U7650. So U7650, we were missing P5VS4EN, This would enable the PP5 ES4 rail. And when we followed this back, this comes from PM Sleep S5L over here. And PM Sleep S5L is going to come from the PCH over here, which on the dual core models is integrated into the CPU. On the quad core models here is on the platform controller hub, which is kind of like a north bridge and a south bridge and a graphics communicator between Intel and the MUX all at once. Intel CPU and the MUX all at once, and some of the older models. So we were missing PM Sleep S5L. Then we noticed that there was corrosion on these two resistors over here and capacitors. This resistor and capacitor R8001 and C8003. These two are responsible for allowing U7800 to create PP1VO sus. So what I know now is that if I'm missing PM Sleep S5L, I should check and ensure that I have PP1VO sus, because PP1VO sus is required. And as you can see here, the PCH on these newer MacBooks all operates on PP1VO sus. So this over here is the PCH, and as you can see, all of the inside balls on the PCH are PP1VO sus. So PP1VO sus is very important on the newer MacBooks and Touchbars. So if you're missing PM Sleep S5L, rather than doing what we used to do, which is Frisbee 'em, now we know for the next machines, when you're missing PM Sleep S5L, check PP1VO sus, because it is important. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. And as always, when you're going through the queue, make sure that you pick all your boards at random.